Okay, a quick subject change. The impact of 5G, the proposed increase in radio frequency radiation exposure, and therefore our health. Is there a risk, a threat from 5G?
I don't have the answer to whether 5G radiation is a risk. I would hope there's enough smart people, and there are, who are looking at the impact on radiation in general and its impact on us. I think that
because the accusations have been around for some time about mobile phones. Every investigation, to my knowledge, has proved to find there was no evidence for saying that there was. I mean, you know, maybe if you have the phone continually growing out of your ear for 8 hours a day, maybe something would happen there. But for most people,
and all honesty, 5G is a spectrum of radio waves that we've been using for the last 50 odd years anyway. We've just chopped it out and allowed it to be a higher frequency use. So whereas 3G and 4G was, they've locked a bit off. So that radiation's already been in there. The only difference is that hasn't been a small device we've been holding up to our heads.
Yeah. And so it's the volume that would be around, the volume of that would be around.
There will always be that, but I don't believe as a society we'd allow it to come into general use if it was going to be dangerous.
So that has been investigated, and everyone said 5G is fine because everyone's pressing ahead with it.
In theory, they wouldn't allow it out into the world. We have been proved wrong many times that some things have slipped through the net and got into society and actually been very damaging to us. And then it takes a long time to legislate and bring them back out of society. Just look at tobacco. You know, it's taken far longer and far harder to take something out which we absolutely know is dangerous to us and kills us and causes cancer. And we put it on the boxes and we try and take it out, yet people still smoke. And I just don't understand it.
I'm with you on that 100%. AI is the next technology wave, said to be going to really decimate the jobs market. It's going to take over so many jobs. You're talking about maybe 25% of jobs. So the question is, what do those people do? My theory is that they end up volunteering to help others in society because you've got to do something. And if you're not in a job which gives you hopefully a certain amount of satisfaction, then volunteering is the ideal replacement. But then you come to the question of money, and are we talking about here a universal living wage, which Switzerland voted against, but Finland has tested and tried? And how would that work? Would people just get some money for not doing anything, or would it be related perhaps to the contribution that they were making to society? Same way that we talked about the care credits in Japan, it would be, would you earn your money through what you were doing to put back into society? Is that a feasible prospect?
If we have a group of people that now don't have nothing to do, they could volunteer, but unless they have enough wealth or enough value or enough money coming back to them, they can't afford to eat and they don't feel like they're adding into society.
Right, and of course you have to raise the money. Governments have to raise the money to do that, and Bill Gates and I think Bernie Sanders actually said, why not tax robots? Is that something that you would see coming?
If a robot takes a job that a human was going to do, then we should tax that value, the same amount from that business, to put it back into society.
And tax the productivity of the robot.
Yeah, which I thought was an interesting angle. Instead of the profits within the business, we'll tax the actual amount of work that goes through it. The bigger bottleneck that we're going to get to is that money is just a societal construct again. It's this idea of valuing a coin that will swap this, and even if you look on a £10 note, it says it's a promissory note. It means nothing, it's just something we invented. So I will give you this and you'll give it to the next person, you'll give it to the next person. And in theory, there's a finite amount of money in the world. Quantitative easing means we just put more money and invent it around the edges. All of that idea of what money is made up by us to try and help us kind of work together. The problem being that money doesn't work the same if only 1% of it has most of it.
And what about blockchain then? Because blockchain,
new money.
Even more human, made up. But actually it's something which has started and taken off as a result of what was technologically possible, with no one really working out what the end game is. I mean, how does it end? How is it taxed? You know, is it a disaster for people, or is it just another simple way of making money using technology for some people, while others will be losers?
It's another promissory note, and it's a value. The original kind of Bitcoin blockchain was interesting because they said there's a finite amount of it, and you can mine it yourself, just the same as you're going to go down a gold mine and you'll collect your tokens to generate this value to spread around the world, and it's outside of the banking system. And so I think it was very interesting. Then everybody piled in, and there was an initial coin offering for any sort of coin around the world. We still value gold as the finite gold standard, that's why it's gold standard. And in theory, there's X amount of it in the world. But that doesn't mean that someone hasn't found a mine with the same amount of gold somewhere underground and they haven't told anyone. It's the same as the diamond industry. They're very valuable small rocks, and there's only a few of them in the world. Yet, if you look around the kind of meteor crater in Russia, it's all diamonds. So there's thousands of tons of diamonds that they don't want to let into the industry because it lowers the values of the things on some of our, it's not my ring, but I was trying to see if someone's got a diamond ring. But it's those the scarcity thing is the thing we've been valuing for so long. Even back to technology, the guy that could build a fire in his cave, that was valuable and scarce. So everyone wanted to hang out with him because that was hard to do. The group of people that were farming and getting more food, that was scarce, so that was valuable. I'll swap you my grown things for your things and we'll start bartering. And then we start trying to find other things that we think are valuable. And so it's taken a long time, but our whole society is built on the idea that scarcity is what is valuable. So we need to be careful about it. So the scarcity thing is going to go away. Over time, so automation, artificial intelligence will start to make our lives better. As we become more educated over the planet, it's shown that more educated societies, the population tails off. So the doubling in the last 20, 50 years has been too much. But in theory, we're going to top out around 7.5 billion to 8 billion, and then it will kind of settle down. That's what all the science is saying.
Sure, and you mentioned education. I mean, are we talking about technology enabling people to learn in a better way, to learn faster, to learn more? Are we talking about technology resulting in a much better educated society?
Absolutely. I think I would have loved to have been in school now. It was a tougher time with, the internet came on a CD-ROM, and it wasn't the internet. It was Encarta, multimedia, something, and you could kind of just about search for the results in it. But to have the world's knowledge at our fingertips within seconds is phenomenal. You can find an answer to any question. You can find out how to do anything in seconds, usually by a 12-year-old on YouTube.
But does it stop you thinking, because you can get everything on the device, does it stop you thinking about thinking for yourself and developing a problem-solving mentality yourself?
I think it changes it. So I think I solve more problems because I have access to knowledge. And the idea, I was talking to someone recently about the idea of democratizing intelligence through mixed reality glasses. So you wear a pair of glasses and it has an AI assistant in it that knows the context of what I'm saying, what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, and then can relay information to me from the internet, from the world's knowledge, to help me do what I want to do. So if I open the car bonnet, it's connected to the car, it'll tell me what screw to do, what sensor to fix, and I then have all the knowledge of being a car mechanic, or a house builder, or a chef, and all these things that are craft and take 10,000 hours to learn. An artificial intelligence or somebody can come with me to give me that knowledge, which was impossible to gain. What it does change is what we have to learn. So do we need to learn history and geography the same at school when that was more than everything just pulling up information and facts and figures? When do we need to teach our children to be more problem solvers and big thinkers and coming up with new ideas?
We hear about the enormous amount of information that is being gathered up by various organizations, by Facebook, for example, that knows a lot about every individual person who signs up to Facebook. But are we being tracked, watched, and listened to the whole time? I remember a story about every Samsung television in your living room had got a listening device in it that it could actually hear what you were saying. So have we got to all be so well behaved as a society that we assume that, based on the assumption that everyone is someone is listening to us the whole time.
Goes back to, do we care who's listening?
Exactly.
And
If you're
bigger
behaving
question.
well in society, then but who behaves well the
Who
whole
decides
time?
who's behaving well?
That's it.
That's the thing. Who decides who's behaving well? What's that data being used for?
Yeah.
Is it for nefarious reasons, or is it for keeping our society safe? If you look at any of the big scandals that came out of the US over the last 10 years about them globally data mining and collecting every piece of information from everybody in society so that they could trawl back through it if they did get a warrant to come and have a look at you. That scared us a lot, because there is this database of us held somewhere else and we don't know who has access to it. Just think about, and it gets scary quite quickly, how many microphones are in your house and how many things with cameras are in your house, and you have no idea whether they're listening or they're looking through them at any time. The NSA had the ability to turn on people's phones without them actually turning on. So they could turn them on at any point and listen to any microphone on any phone anywhere in the world. And so if you think about how many smartphones, smart speakers, laptops, iPads, you name it, has these things already in our house.
And you've got Alexa, which wasn't there a case where Alexa recorded a conversation by its owners and actually sent that conversation, a recording of that conversation, luckily, just to some friends of theirs?
Well, we have to make a decision. Again, it comes back to context of what the value is of this data and who has access to it and why we want people to have access to it. I was at a conference last week and I was on after someone saying cyber warfare. And I was like, well, I'll just sit in the back and do my keynote. And it was the most jaw-dropping, interesting thing I'd sat in years. And the long and the short of it, they said, we do everything that you hear about on the internet, that you hear about everybody else doing, but we do it better and we're the good guys. And that's the decision about who decides who the good guys is. Well, we're the good guys, so we should be allowed to do all that sort of stuff.
But the bad guys are developing it as well.
Oh, that's the bad guys.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that they think they're the good guys, and we're the bad guys.
Not necessarily. No.